think. I really love color. And so I gravitate towards things that have a lot of color in them. And also I love light and shadow. And so when I'm doing realistic work, it's the color and the light and the shadow. When I'm going into abstract, it's more design and color. And so everywhere I go, it's mostly just all about color. I started painting just because I loved it. And then at that time I was painting in oils and doing mostly figures and portraits. And I began to get people asking me to do their portraits. So that's how I started. Actually, I started doing portraiture. And I did that for a while until finally I decided I really didn't like portraiture. And then a little later I was allergic to oil paints, so I had to switch. And then I began painting in watercolor. And once I started watercolor, it just seemed to just have an affinity for doing flowers. So I started doing mostly florals. And that's when I started doing florals, they began to sell. People just were interested. And so that's when I got more serious and started, And so when North End Gallery was started was when I had been in another gallery prior to that. So I guess I was professional already, but I was not doing it as full-time as I could. And North End. Well, I try to paint sort of, when I do flowers in particularly, I try to do it almost like I do a portrait, where I'm looking at the flower and trying to capture the personality and the character of the flower, not necessarily every little detail, but more the impression and the feeling of the flower. It's always an adventure, and it's always like walking on a tightrope, because you always think you have an idea, but what you end up with is very often nothing like what you started out with the idea for. And so getting there is like, am I going to get there or not? And that's the thing that's exciting, is to not know for sure you can do it, and to keep pushing yourself to try to do it.